Welcome to the law offices of Chris M. Ingram's Immigration Podcast. Today, we are excited to continue with part 3 of our brand new 4-part series on the O-1A visa.
That's right.
The O-1A visa is for senior professionals and academics seeking to work in the U.S. So let's dive in.
Let's do it.
Before we get started, we'd like to thank attorney Chris M. Ingram and his team, who have worked very hard in researching and preparing the material for this podcast.
Absolutely. Their work is invaluable.
So let's get started. Welcome back, everyone, to the deep dive. We're really getting into the weeds on the O-1A visa, this pathway for, well, really extraordinary individuals wanting to bring their talents to the U.S.
Exactly. It's a unique category.
And in parts 1 and 2, we really laid the groundwork, didn't we? We talked about the O-1A's purpose, the benefits, which are significant, and we started unpacking those first 5 qualification categories.
We did. We covered awards, memberships, published material about you, judging roles, and those critical contributions of major significance.
Yeah, and we tried to give, a ton of different examples to make it all feel a bit more real, less theoretical.
That's right. And we talked about how it's not just like having an award, but the prestige of the award, the selection process.
Right, the rigor behind it.
Exactly. And with memberships, it's not just joining any group, but maybe being an elected fellow or holding a key role in an organization that demands really high standards. Each piece matters, but they really work together.
They really do. It's about building that overall picture. So today, our mission is to, finish exploring those categories. We've got the final 3 to cover.
The last 3 pillars.
And we'll really unpack the evidence needed for those. But then, and this is the part I'm really excited about, we're going to transition into some actual case studies.
Yeah, this is where it comes alive.
These aren't just made-up scenarios. They're composites, based on real client experiences from our legal team. They're designed to show you exactly how people from seasoned pros to recent grads actually met these requirements in the real world.
Mm-hmm. And that's so important because it shows the synergy.
Yeah.
How meeting one criterion can bolster another.
Synergy, good word.
It's one thing to understand Category 6 in isolation, but seeing how someone's publications maybe led to judging opportunities or how their critical role resulted in a high salary, that's the power of the O-1A petition. It's the whole narrative.
Exactly. So our goal for you listening is to leave you not just knowing the categories, but seeing how you might strategically build that narrative yourself, whatever your career stage.
Precisely. Giving you that concrete vision.
Okay, let's jump back in. Category number 6, authorship of scholarly articles in professional journals or major media. Now, this sounds straightforward writing stuff, getting it published. But our legal team tells us there's, a lot more to it, especially proving the impact.
Right.
Absolutely. The core idea here isn't just, filling pages. It's really about proving you're a thought leader through what you write and publish.
A thought leader. Okay. Yeah, shows you're contributing actively to the knowledge in your field. You're shaping the discussion, maybe pushing boundaries. It's like tangible proof of your intellectual influence.
So the publication itself and your part in it has to scream extraordinary ability.
Pretty much, yeah. It reflects your standing.
Okay, so it's about meaningful dissemination, not just ink on paper. Can you give us some examples? Because like you said before, what works for a seasoned pro might be totally different for a recent grad.
That's a really crucial distinction our attorneys always make. For seasoned professionals, the focus is definitely on those high-impact journals, the big names.
Like Nature, Science, things like that.
Exactly. Or maybe Harvard Business Review in the business world. Publications with significant impact factors. That means they're widely read, widely cited, really influential.
Okay. So
for a professional, you'd emphasize the citations your work has received. How many other experts are building on your ideas? That shows influence. And this definitely includes things like book chapters, especially in well-respected academic or industry books. If your ideas are foundational enough to be in a textbook, that's strong.
So if I wrote a chapter for a widely used university textbook, that counts.
Oh, absolutely. That signals your insights are considered, core knowledge in the field. Now, for recent graduates, things look a bit different, naturally.
Yeah.
But it can still be very impactful. Conference proceedings, especially from major reputable conferences where there's peer review, that's a great starting point.
Okay, peer-reviewed conference papers.
Yes. And co-authored papers coming out of, say, significant research projects, maybe your thesis or dissertation work, those are valuable.
Right.
Our legal team had a case, for instance, a recent education grad. They used an article on inclusive learning, co-authored, published in a top journal. Even if it was one of their first big publications, it worked because the journal is prestigious and the topic significant.
So first author isn't always necessary.
Not always, though it helps. Co-authorship is fine, but you need to clarify your specific contribution later. Also, things like preprints, on platforms like RPIV or BuyerOx.
The pre-publication servers.
Right. If those show real uptake, lots of downloads, discussion online, that can be valuable too, especially in fast-moving fields where formal publication takes ages. The key is showing influence and engagement.
That's really helpful, especially the preprint point. It shows there's flexibility. But what about the nuances? Our team mentioned quality over quantity.
Huge point.
Yeah.
It's absolutely quality over quantity. Our attorneys are very clear on this. The focus is always on peer review and relevance.
Right.
You could have 50 blog posts on your personal site, and it won't carry nearly the weight of one article in a top-tier peer-reviewed journal.
So forget the blog count.
Basically, yeah, unless maybe it's an expert opinion piece in, say, the New York Times or a major industry outlet. But generally, the articles need to be scholarly.
Scholarly meaning?
Usually means they have things like an abstract, proper citations, maybe some bibliometrics like citation data or journal impact factors to back up the rigor. It's about contributing to a recognized body of knowledge, not just sharing thoughts informally.
Okay. What about outside strict academia, like business or the arts? Does an op-ed in, say, Forbes count, or a critical essay in Art Forum?
Yes, absolutely it can. For a business leader, an op-ed or a deep analytical piece in a major industry publication like Forbes, Wall Street Journal, maybe The Economist, that could be very strong evidence.
Because of the readership.
Exactly. The wide readership, the respected platform, it signals your insights are valued by other leaders. Same for the arts. A significant critical essay in a major journal like Art Forum or Sight and Sound demonstrates thought leadership in that specific domain.
So the key is documenting the publication's reach and reputation.
Precisely. Our legal team always emphasizes this. Provide copies, sure, but also explain the venue. What's its circulation? Who reads it? What are its editorial standards? You need to show it's a recognized place for expert voices.
Got it. Let's dig into intellectual ownership and metrics. How many publications are we generally talking about? Is there a magic number? And what about things like the H index?
Yeah, there's no magic number, unfortunately. It really varies. A seasoned academic might have, 50, 100 publications that reflect a long career.
Wow.
But for a graduate or someone mainly in an industry, even 3 to 5 really high-quality, influential pieces can be enough if they're in the right places and show clear intellectual ownership and impact.
Quality over quantity again.
Always. Think outside the box, too.
Yeah.
We had an athletics example in our research, someone publishing articles on performance psychology in specialized journals like Psychology of Sport and Exercise.
So niche journals count if they're respected in that niche.
Exactly. It's about being recognized as an expert in your specific field, contributing to that conversation. Now, about metrics like the H-index.
Yeah, that measures productivity and impact, right?
It does, and it's helpful. Definitely worth including if it's strong. But our attorneys consistently find it's not the be-all and end-all for O-1A. The narrative is just as, if not more, important. How did your work advance the field? What problems did it solve? What thinking did it change? That story, woven around your publications, is powerful.
And co-authorship. You mentioned clarifying your role.
Yes, crucial. Co-authorship is perfectly fine, very common, but you must clearly explain your specific, significant contribution. Were you the lead researcher? Did you design the key experiment? Did you do the primary analysis? You can't just be a name on a long list without context. Your unique input needs to shine through.
Okay, that's clear. What about practical hurdles? Like accessing paywalled articles, does that matter? And any cool client success stories from our legal team's research that show this category in an unusual light?
Good questions. Access isn't usually the issue. Our research confirms both open access and paywall publications are fine, as long as the venue is reputable and the work is scholarly. It's about the journal's standing, peer review, influence, not the business model. And yes, a really interesting success story from our team's research involved a client in a very niche manufacturing sector. They used highly detailed proprietary industry reports they'd authored.
Not academic papers.
No, not traditional ones. But these reports were deeply analytical, they were widely cited within that specific industry, and the client could directly tie their authorship to major business impacts, like influencing new industry standards.
Wow.
It worked because it undeniably proved thought leadership and influence, even though the format was unconventional. It shows the flexibility if the core purpose is met.
That's a great example of thinking outside the academic box. So for people wanting to build this evidence, what are some actionable steps?
Well, proactively submitting to calls for papers at relevant journals and conferences is obvious but effective, especially targeting high-impact venues.
Right.
And for recent graduates, our team often advises adapting parts of your thesis or dissertation. That's usually years of original research. With some work, it can be turned into one or more strong, publishable articles demonstrating your unique contribution.
You finally got your family together on a H-1B. Your American dream begins. Your employer files for your EB-2 green card, but the wait is over 11 years. As the years go by, frustration grows, and now the company is talking about layoffs. This could be the end of your American dream. You search for help, but luckily, you land on breakthroughusa.com. They listen, reassured you, and built your EB-1 case with precision. Then one day, a notification buzzes, EB-1 approved. With your EB-1 green card, your entire family can breathe.
I have got my visa. I got my visa.
That's why the law offices of Chris M. Ingram is trusted. Your future shouldn't wait. Let's talk EB-1.
What are the next steps?
Need help with your visa? Book your free consultation now at www.breakthroughusa.com and let us take care of you.
Good tip. Repurpose that hard work.
Exactly. And here's where the synergy comes in again. Impactful publications often attract media attention, right?
Great, yeah.
If your work is groundbreaking, news outlets or industry media might want to cover it. That directly links back to Category 3 published material about you, which we covered before. So one strong piece of evidence here can actually boost another category.
Love that. Leveraging one success to build another. Okay, brilliant.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Category 7. Employment in a critical or essential capacity for distinguished organizations.
Go ahead.
This sounds like it's about working at a famous company, but maybe more about what you did there, like being indispensable.
That's precisely it. This category is all about showing your role at a distinguished organization involve critical or essential responsibilities. It's not just the name recognition of the employer, though that helps establish the distinguished part.
Right.
It's about highlighting the demand for your specific unique skills. Proving you weren't just another employee, but someone whose contributions were vital, whose absence would genuinely hinder the organization's key operations or mission. It's about indispensability.
Indispensability. Okay. So the organization's reputation matters, but so does the crucial nature of your role. Can you give examples for different career stages, say a seasoned leader versus a promising grad?
Sure. For seasoned professionals, think big impact. Maybe leading R&D at a major agency like NASA, where your work has national significance.
Okay, high profile.
Or being the chief technology officer, the CTO, for a unicorn startup, one valued over $1 billion. Your technical leadership was clearly critical to that massive success and valuation.
Right, driving growth.
Or in sports, maybe directing performance analytics or specialized training for a top professional team. That requires very specialized knowledge critical to their success. The evidence needs to show how your role was vital.
Makes sense for senior folks. What about recent grads without that track record? How can they possibly meet critical or essential?
It's a different focus. We advise highlighting things like key research assistant roles at top-tier universities, where maybe your specific analysis or experimental work was integral to a major published study or grant.
So being crucial to a specific project.
Exactly. Or landing highly competitive internships or rotational programs at globally recognized companies, think Google, Apple, major consulting firms. If the program was incredibly selective and your projects demonstrably contributed to key company goals, that works.
Okay.
The crucial evidence, for everyone really, is getting detailed letters from supervisors or senior people. These letters need to explicitly spell out your irreplaceable duties and, if possible, quantify your vital contribution.
Quantify, like?
Their work on Algorithm X improved processing speed by 30%, which was essential for launching Product Y. And, of course, you also need evidence establishing the organization's Distinguished Status Awards at one, high rankings, media recognition, market leadership.
So the organization's prestige validates the environment you were critical within.
Precisely. It confirms the high caliber of the setting. For professionals, Showing promotions within that distinguished organization is also powerful evidence. It shows your value was recognized and you became even more critical over time.
Good point.
For graduates, getting selected for elite postdocs, highly competitive fellowship programs, or those sought-after rotational schemes at Fortune 500s serves a similar purpose. It shows your potential and skills were seen as essential early on.
Let's flesh out critical roles a bit more. Does it mean the place would literally fall apart without you? And what kind of documents really nail this?
Well, maybe not fall apart entirely, but significantly hindered in its core mission or competitive edge. Think about someone who designed the core algorithms for a flagship product at a major tech company. Their work is fundamental.
Yeah.
That's irreplaceable. For graduates, maybe their internship project directly led to a patent filing for the company, or their analysis was the key factor in a successful product tweak. The documentation needs to be solid. Detailed job descriptions are a start, but performance reviews explicitly highlighting your essential skills are better.
And those letters you mentioned?
Absolutely key. Testimonials from high-ranking people are often the most persuasive evidence. They need to go beyond generic praise and really detail your essential duties, the impact of your work, and why you, specifically, were indispensable.
What about outside the corporate world? Nonprofits? Government?
Oh, definitely. A leadership role in a renowned nonprofit, maybe shaping national policy or running a critical program like Teach for America that clearly fits. Your role is essential to their mission and impact.
Makes sense.
Or a lead scientist at a national laboratory working on, say, critical infrastructure security or public health research. That's undeniably essential.
Okay, comprehensive view there. What about challenges? Say someone's a freelancer. And any standout client stories from our legal team's research that maybe defied expectations for this category?
Freelancers or consultants face a unique challenge. They need to show that their combined work for multiple distinguished clients demonstrates consistent, critical impact. It's not just one gig. It's showing a pattern of reputable organizations relying on your unique expertise for essential functions.
So building a portfolio of critical impact.
Exactly. Needs strong testimonials from each client. And yes, our legal team's research uncovered a fascinating case. A graduate whose internship at a major, highly influential think tank resulted in their research having direct, substantive input on policy recommendations.
An intern influencing policy.
Yes, and these recommendations were actually adopted by government bodies. So despite being just an intern, their specific analysis was proven indispensable to the think tank's core mission and national impact.
Wow, that really underscores that it's about the impact, not the job title.
It absolutely is. As our attorneys always stress, you have to clearly articulate how your role, whatever the title, directly drove the organization's success, reputation, or critical mission. This category gives concrete, real-world proof of your value, showing distinguished organizations needed you for indispensable functions. It powerfully backs up the qualitative claims.
Fascinating how these layers build. Okay, category 8, commanding a high salary or other remuneration. This seems, well, more straightforward. Is it just about making a lot of money?
In essence, yes, it's a quantitative measure.
Yeah.
It uses your financial compensation to demonstrate your extraordinary ability, arguing that the high pay reflects high market demand for your unique skills.
Money talks.
Basically,
Yeah.
the logic is simple. If the market values you significantly more than your peers, it's strong evidence of your extraordinary standing.
Okay. But high is relative, right? How do you show that, especially comparing a recent grad to a CEO?
Exactly. Context is everything. For seasoned professionals, we're talking about executive-level packages demonstrably above the norm for their specific role, industry, and location. Not just a little higher, but often in the top 10%, maybe even 5%.
Top tier pay.
Yes, backed by contracts, offer letters, pay stubs, bonus records. For recent graduates, it's about showing highly competitive job offers right out of school, or maybe significant scholarships or grants that dwarf what their peers are receiving.
So it's about comparing yourself to others.
Absolutely. The key for everyone is using reliable comparative data. Salary surveys, government statistics like the Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS, industry reports. You need to show your compensation is exceptional relative to others with similar experience, qualifications, and job functions in your specific field and geographic market. It's not an absolute dollar figure, but your percentile rank.
Got it. It's proving you're an outlier financially. How do our attorneys suggest strengthening this beyond just base salary? What else counts?
You need to look at the total remuneration package. That includes base salary, yes, but also bonuses, stock options, equity grants, profit sharing, maybe even significant relocation packages or allowances.
The whole compensation picture.
Right, and you need to contextualize it all. Use those industry-specific salary surveys, maybe from consulting firms like Mercer or professional associations. Show that your total package puts you in that top tier. For entrepreneurs, it's a bit different.
How so?
Securing significant venture capital funding for your startup can be powerful evidence here. It's not salary, but it shows investors believe your leadership and vision have exceptionally high market value. Millions invested in your idea, strong validation.
Okay, so for professionals, maybe aiming for salaries north of $300,000 backed by BLS data or private surveys.
That's often a benchmark our attorneys see in high-cost areas or certain fields, yes. The goal is proving you're in that very top percentile for your specific role and location. For graduates, evidence of major scholarships like a full ride to a top PhD program or prestigious fellowships like a Fulbright or NSF award demonstrates your academic potential is valued far above average.
And for business folks, equity.
Significant equity stakes, especially in high-growth or highly valued companies, are very compelling. It ties your reward directly to the success you're helping drive, showing high value and commitment.
What about the paperwork needed? And any challenges like non-monetary perks? Any unusual success stories here from the legal team's research?
Documentation is critical. Redacted pay stubs, official offer letters, employment contracts showing the numbers. These are essential. For non-monetary perks, maybe unique benefits, special allowances, valuable pre-IPO stock options, you need to make a strong case for their equivalent financial value.
How do you value those?
Sometimes it requires expert valuation reports or detailed explanations of their rarity and desirability in your field. It can be tricky but doable.
Feeling lost in a maze of visa types and paperwork? Don't know where to turn? We've got your back. With clear answers and real help, we'll guide you every step of the way. Let's navigate it together. Your journey starts today.
Hello, you must be Clara. Welcome to the law office of Chris M. Ingram.
Finally, I found a law firm that will help me achieve my American dream.
At this law firm, you are important to us. That's why we will be with you every step of the way. So join us at the office of Chris M. Ingram.
And a great success story from our team's research involved a research scientist. Their main income wasn't a traditional salary.
Yeah.
They successfully used substantial grant funding they secured as proof of remuneration. The argument was that external, highly competitive bodies were investing huge sums of their research, directly valuing their intellectual output and potential impact. It showed high value, just not through a regular paycheck.
That's clever, valuing the investment in your work itself.
Exactly. And this category often really bolsters others. You can show how your major contributions, Category 5 or critical role, Category 7, directly led to that high salary or significant bonus. It adds that quantitative punch to your qualitative achievements.
Connecting the dots again.
Yeah. And for international applicants, remember to adjust for currency and cost of living using things like purchasing power parity. But the focus remains on proving you are earning significantly more than your peers in your specific home market. It's about relative standing.
Okay, whew. That's all 8 categories covered now in detail across these sessions, but it's crystal clear, isn't it? This is not just a checklist.
Absolutely not. That's probably the single most important takeaway our attorneys stress. These O-1A categories aren't just boxes to tick. They're meant to weave together into a single, strong story.
A narrative of excellence.
Precisely. A narrative of sustained, extraordinary excellence. The flexibility, the overlap between categories that's intentional. It encourages you to build a holistic case, showing your acclaim from multiple angles. You're telling a story, not just listing items.
Connecting the dots, making it cohesive. So how should different people approach this? Like someone in STEM versus the arts, or a recent grad versus a veteran?
Good question. Tailoring the emphasis is key. For STEM folks, our legal team often advises highlighting innovation in critical tech. Patents, groundbreaking research with tangible applications, developing new methods that really move the needle.
Okay.
Recent graduates, they should really lean into their academic achievements. Stellar thesis work, significant research projects, maybe early publications, and emphasize their trajectory, their high potential based on these early impactful signs.
Focus on potential.
Right. While seasoned professionals can leverage their longevity. They can show how their work has evolved, consistently influenced the field over years, built a real legacy. It adds depth and retrospective impact.
Makes sense. Play to your strengths based on career stage and field. What about strategies that maybe aren't used as often? I think you mentioned comparable evidence before, and the totality approach.
Yes, comparable evidence is incredibly useful, but often overlooked. It's for situations where your achievements don't fit neatly into one of the 8 boxes, but clearly show extraordinary ability. Well, imagine someone in a field that doesn't publish much, gives a TED Talk that goes viral, millions of views, sparks global debate, maybe even influences policy. That's not a scholarly article, but it could certainly be presented as comparable evidence of major influence and recognition.
Interesting.
Or maybe strong, consistent media presence as an expert commentator, high-profile endorsements from undisputed leaders in your field. These can build the picture. It all feeds into the totality of the evidence standard. It means the immigration officer looks at everything together, all the pieces you submit. And that whole package, the collective weight of it all, must be overwhelmingly convincing. It needs to paint an undeniable picture of extraordinary ability. One strong category helps, but 3 or more, layered together, reinforcing each other, that's what makes a case truly compelling.
So it's the combined force of the evidence. Any specific insights from attorney Chris Ingram's practice on how that layering really works to clinch an approval?
Yeah, the consistent insight from Chris Ingram's practice is that this layering is what transforms a merely eligible case into a strongly approvable one. It's about showing the connections.
For example,
you won a major award, Category 1, for a groundbreaking contribution, Category 5. That contribution was then featured in major media, Category 3. Because of this recognition, you were invited to judge prestigious competitions, Category 4, and your expertise became so sought after it commands a high salary, Category 8. See how it links?
Yeah, it builds a really strong chain reaction of success.
Exactly. That interconnected web makes the claim of extraordinary ability much harder to refute. It shows sustained impact across different dimensions.
I like that web of achievement. How can applicants organize this? Maybe think thematically.
Thinking thematically is a great strategy our team often suggests. Instead of just listing Category 1, Category 3, Category 5, group them under a theme. Maybe leadership in sustainable innovation, or transforming cancer diagnostics, or pioneering educational reform.
Creates a stronger narrative flow.
Definitely. It helps the reviewer grasp the core story quickly. And as we said, graduates might frame their narrative around future potential and trajectory, while professionals can build that retrospective story of long-term impact.
Are there any hot fields right now, current trends our researchers are seeing that might give applicants an edge?
Oh, for sure. Our researchers have flagged a definite surge in AI-related O-1A cases recently, especially looking through 2025 data and projections.
AI, machine learning?
Exactly. Also, fields like quantum computing, advanced biotech. If your expertise is in these high-demand, cutting-edge areas, there's often a strategic advantage. Demonstrating impact in sectors seen as critical to national interest can really strengthen a petition, highlighting the scarcity and importance of your skills.
Good to know for people in those fields. Okay, finally, before we get to the case study, any common mistakes our legal team sees people make? And maybe one super practical tip our listeners could start doing today.
A really common pitfall our team sees is presenting achievements in isolation, just listing things without connecting the dots or explaining the significance. I published X articles. Okay, so why does that matter?
Needs context and connection.
Absolutely. Emphasize the interconnections. Show how one success led to another, building that web we talked about. And for a practical tip, this is something our attorneys recommend constantly. Start inventorying your achievements weekly.
Weekly?
Really, yes. Don't wait until you need the visa. Keep a running document, log new projects, positive feedback, presentations given, articles published or cited, media mentions, new responsibilities, awards, anything, even small wins.
Builds up over time.
Exactly. When you eventually need to assemble the O-1A petition, you'll have this incredibly detailed, comprehensive record ready to go. It makes the process infinitely smoother and the petition much, much stronger.
That is fantastic, actionable advice. A weekly achievement log. Brilliant. Okay, let's pivot now. Let's bring all this theory down to earth with our first case study. This is where we see how it all fits together for a real person.
Exactly. These illustrative cases are designed to make the categories tangible, relatable. It's one thing to talk about criteria, quite another to see how someone navigated them.
And just to reiterate, these are composite cases, right? Based on real successes from our legal team, but with details blended and names changed for confidentiality.
Correct. They reflect the kinds of profiles and evidence that we see lead to O-1A approvals. Each case shows how meeting at least 3 categories, often more, builds that successful narrative.
And we're covering 4 individuals total in the series, mix of experience, different fields.
That's the plan. 2 seasoned professionals, 2 recent grads, across various fields to give a broad perspective. Today, we start with Dr. Elena Vazquez, a seasoned environmental scientist.
All right, Dr. Elena Vazquez, tell us about her. What's her background, her story?
Okay, so Dr. Vazquez is 45. She's got about 15 years of really deep experience in environmental science. And her passion wasn't just academic. It was personal. She grew up in coastal communities, saw firsthand the threats from rising sea levels, more extreme weather. That really fueled her work in climate modeling, gave it a real urgency.
Made it personal.
Exactly. So after her PhD, she focused her career working at top international think tanks. And she wasn't just doing research. She was developing predictive tools, models that governments around the world actually used for policy decisions, disaster planning.
Wow. Real-world impact from the get-go.
Huge impact. And overall, she qualified under an impressive 5 different O-1A categories. Her case really showcased sustained acclaim and exceptional contributions over her career.
5 categories. Okay, let's break that down. Category 1, awards. What kind of award did she have? How did it meet that major significance standard?
She received the International Environmental Prize. And our legal team dug into this. It wasn't just some local honor. It had an incredibly rigorous, multi-stage international peer review process. It specifically recognized her innovative work on erosion models. And the impact was clear. The UN used her models in critical reports. That shows global reach, policy influence. Plus, the exclusivity was high, only 5 winners a year, chosen from thousands of nominees worldwide.
That definitely sounds major.
Yeah.
Checks all the boxes for prestige and impact.
Unquestionably. It was a clear demonstration of her global standing in the field.
Okay, award covered. What about category 2, memberships in elite organizations?
For memberships, Elena was elected as a fellow in the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC.
The IPCC, okay, that's huge in climate science.
Exactly. The leading international body. And getting elected fellow isn't just paying dues. Our attorneys documented that it required strong endorsements from 20 leading global experts, plus a massive portfolio review of her influential work.
USCIS is cracking down on visa fraud, and even approved cases are being revoked.
Why was my visa denied? USCIS revoked my approval. At the law offices of Chris M. Ingram, we handle every detail with care. Every form, every fact, every time.
So join us for a free consultation. We do things the right way. Let us take care of you.
Wow, 20 experts.
Yeah. And a specific panel judged the real-world accuracy of her models, like how well they predicted hurricane paths. So the selection was incredibly rigorous, based on outstanding achievement, fitting the O-1A criteria perfectly. It signaled she was accepted by the very top tier of her peers.
Rigorous selection based on achievement by top peers.
Okay.
Got it. Moving on to category 3, published material about her work. Where did she get coverage?
This was strong, too. Her work was featured prominently in BBC documentaries, reaching a massive global audience.
BBC, nice.
And she had articles published in the journal Nature, which, as you know, is one of the absolute top scientific journals globally.
Nature is definitely top tier.
And these weren't just passing mentions. Our attorneys highlighted how these features went deep, explaining how her models helped mitigate disasters, even quantifying billions saved through better planning based on her work.
Billions. Wow.
Yeah. And crucially, these pieces included interviews with high-level policymakers who confirmed they used her models. That added immense credibility, showing her work shaped policy and public understanding, not just academic thought.
Incredible visibility and documented impact. Okay, category 4, judging the work of others. What did she judge?
Elena served as a judge reviewing grant proposals for the World Bank.
World Bank grants. Okay, high stakes.
Very high stakes. Her focus was on proposals related to sustainability and climate resilience, right in her wheelhouse. Our team showed how expert feedback directly influenced funding decisions for vital projects in vulnerable regions worldwide.
So her expertise was sought to make major funding decisions.
Exactly. It proved her judgment was so highly regarded, she was entrusted with shaping significant international investments in environmental protection. It showcased her authority in the field.
Makes sense. And the last one she met, Category 5, contributions of major significance. What was her big contribution?
This was really core to her case. She developed truly original predictive models that integrated artificial intelligence AI for real-time forecasting.
AI and climate modeling.
Yeah, very cutting-edge stuff, especially at the time. Predicting extreme weather, sea level rise impacts with much greater accuracy and speed. It was groundbreaking.
How was its significance shown?
Widespread adoption was key. The EPA here in the U.S. adopted her models. Plus, they were cited in over 500 academic studies globally. That shows huge scientific uptake.
500 citations is significant.
Definitely. And to quantify the real-world impact, our legal team gathered detailed expert letters from colleagues, government officials testifying how her models directly led to things like a 40% reduction in evacuation times in coastal areas during storms.
Wow, 40%, that's lives saved.
Absolutely. Lives saved, economic losses reduced. It provided undeniable proof of the major significance and humanitarian impact of her original contributions.
Just incredible. 5 strong categories, all reinforcing each other. So her case was really this holistic story, wasn't it? Built over time.
Exactly. It wasn't just one lucky break. It was consistent dedication, passion, and the evolution of her work, from early research to global policy influence. That's where being a seasoned professional helps you have time to build that deep, comprehensive evidence base.
Right.
And she strategically emphasized the link between the science and the policy, showing the practical relevance, which made her impact undeniable. That layered approach made her petition basically irrefutable. Her story really inspires others to document their own journeys meticulously.
And didn't our research mention she had to overcome some skepticism early on about climate data? How did her evidence help with that?
Yes, that's a great point. Early in her career, like many in her field, she faced skepticism. But the sheer weight and diversity of her validated achievements across these categories, the major international prize, the IPCC fellowship, the Nature publications, the BBC features, the World Bank judging, the demonstrable life-saving impact of her AI models, it created an undeniable track record.
Built credibility piece by piece.
Exactly. It systematically turned doubters into advocates because the evidence of her model's accuracy and impact became overwhelming. Our legal team's research also showed how her early career fieldwork, actually collecting data in vulnerable areas, gave her theoretical work immense credibility. It wasn't just numbers, it was grounded in reality.
That practical grounding makes a difference. What other elements rounded out her narrative and made it so strong?
Well, her collaborations with NGOs globally gave her that on-the-ground perspective, which directly informed her IPCC role. The timing of the International Prize was key, too. It came right after a major UN presentation where her predictions influenced treaty discussions, real-time impact.
Wow.
And after the prize, the media coverage exploded, often focusing on the human stories families saved by her warnings. That resonated hugely. Her World Bank judging experience also sharpened her policy skills, making her better at translating science into action.
Bridging the gap.
Precisely. And interestingly, her work even sparked spin-off startups in climate resilience tech. That showed broad demand and practical application beyond just academia or government.
So it wasn't just discovery, but adoption, impact, even commercial potential.
Right. Her narrative was powerful because it wasn't just about scientific brilliance. It was about resilience, personal motivation, driving professional legacy. She showed how that deep passion, stemming from her own background, could translate into sustained, extraordinary ability across so many dimensions. A fantastic model for the O-1A.
Truly inspiring. What a great example of weaving together multiple O-1A categories into an undeniable story. Okay, as we wrap up part 3 in today, we've now covered all 8 O-1A categories in detail, finishing with authorship, critical employment, and high salary.
And we kicked off our case studies with Dr. Vazquez, showing how these categories look in practice.
Hopefully this deep dive has given you listening a much clearer, more strategic view of how to build that compelling O-1A narrative, moving beyond just the law of criteria.
Understanding how to craft that story of extraordinary ability is really the goal here.
Indeed. And join us next time for the final part of this series, part 4. We'll dive into the remaining 3 case studies, more real-world examples from different fields and career stages.
And we'll wrap everything up with some final key insights on mastering the O-1A visa process.
Sounds great. Can't wait. Thank you so much for being with us today. We hope you gained a lot from this discussion. Please subscribe to or follow this channel, as it can significantly increase the reach of this podcast and help us help more people.
Yeah, your support really makes a difference.
We'd greatly appreciate your support. Leave us a comment if you can. Also, follow us on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, X, and Instagram, where we're growing rapidly thanks to our social media team.
They're doing great work.
We would also like to thank attorney Chris Ingram and his dedicated team once again for researching and preparing this material for our presentation.
Absolutely. Couldn't do it without their expertise.
If you, a friend, or family member would like a free consultation, you can visit our website at www.breakthroughUSA.com and schedule an appointment. We'd love to hear from you and help you if we can.